If you're a man over 45, you've likely experienced something that completely contradicts everything the culture told you would happen. You were told that after 50, you'd become invisible, that younger women would lose interest, that you'd be replaced by the guy with the six-pack and the flexible schedule. But that's not what's happening in the real world right now, is it? You're noticing something different. Women in their late 20s, women in the absolute prime of their lives, are actually reaching out to you. They're sliding into DMs, they're laughing at your jokes differently, they're choosing you over men their own age. And at first, you thought it was a fluke. Maybe she has daddy issues, right? Maybe she's looking for a bank account, maybe it's just a phase. But what if I told you it's none of those things? What if I told you that you're witnessing a fundamental shift in the dating marketplace, and you're actually more valuable now than you've ever been? That's what we're breaking down today. To understand why she's choosing you, you first have to understand what she's running from, and trust me, she's running from something real. Think back to when you were 30, you probably felt behind in some ways, but you had something crucial, a blueprint. Society expected you to grow up. You had mentors, your father, your uncles, your bosses. They modeled what it meant to be a man. It wasn't complicated. You worked, you built things, you handled your responsibilities, you became someone. The men she's dating today? They're the product of a completely different experiment, and for many of them, that experiment has failed spectacularly. Let me paint you a picture of her Friday night. She's out with a guy who's 29 years old, good-looking, maybe fit, but here's the problem. He works a gig economy job, not because he's building a business or developing skills, but because he refuses to commit to a schedule. He lives with 3 roommates in a state of permanent adolescence. His apartment looks like a dorm room. When she asks him about the future, and she will, because she's thinking about her 30s now, he panics, he shuts down. To him, commitment isn't a foundation for building a life. It's a prison sentence that ends all the fun. So she tries someone else, the dreamer. This guy has a podcast he's going to launch, a screenplay, a cryptocurrency investment that's going to moon. He talks about his potential constantly, but at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday, he's still sleeping. He's all vision and zero execution. She finds herself becoming his therapist, his cheerleader, his life coach. She's investing emotionally in someone who isn't actually building anything. Then there's the emotionally fragile guy, the one who crumbles at the first sign of conflict. If she brings up a legitimate issue, he either gaslights her or disappears into video games for hours. He treats his emotions like emergencies that she has to solve. By the time she's 28, she's not just tired. She's exhausted. She's suffering from decision fatigue. She's played every role except partner, mother, therapist, life coach, motivational speaker for men who resent her for asking them to be adults. Then she meets you. When she looks at you, she doesn't see an old guy. She sees an architect. You're a man who has already built the house. The foundation is set. You're not asking her to help you lay the groundwork for your life. You've already done that. Think about the power of your history. You've likely been through things that terrify younger men. Maybe you've survived a divorce. Maybe you've lost a business and rebuilt it from nothing. Maybe you've navigated the death of someone close to you. You have scars. And here's what she understands on a primal level. Scars are proof of survival. They tell her that you face the fire and don't burn. When you ask her out, you don't say, "I don't know, what do you want to do? We could just, hang out or something." No, you say, "Meet me at the Italian place on 4th Street at 7 p.m., dress well." You have a plan, you have agency, you have conviction. To a woman drowning in the ambiguity of modern dating, your decisiveness isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. It's an aphrodisiac stronger than any physical attribute. You possess what the ancient Greeks called anorexia, a state of robust tranquility. When she's having a bad day, when her emotions are all over the place, when the world is pressing down on her shoulders, you don't panic, you don't make her feelings about you. You're the lighthouse. The waves crash against the rock, but the light keeps spinning. You can say, "I see you're upset, let's talk about it," without falling apart yourself. That's not dad issues, that's a craving for masculine containment. She wants a partner who contains chaos, not someone who adds to it. The younger men she's dated? They amplify the chaos. They are chaotic elements. You're the ordering principle, you're the structure, and for a woman thinking about the long term, even if she doesn't consciously realize it, structure is safety. Now, polite society tries to pretend biology doesn't exist. We layer culture, technology, and feminism on top of human behavior, but underneath all that, the primitive brain is running the same software it ran 50,000 years ago. Women are the selectors of our species. That's not a social construct, that's biology. They're wired to seek resources, protection, and stability. This isn't gold digging, this is a survival strategy encoded in DNA. When she was 22, her selection criteria were different. She was driven by novelty, excitement, genetic fitness. Who's the most fun? Who's the best looking? She could date the broke musician because she wasn't thinking about winter, she was thinking about summer. But as she approaches 30, something shifts. A biological alarm clock starts to ring, subtly at first, then louder and louder. Her criteria shift from who is fun to who is capable. You, the man in his 50s, you trigger the competence switch in her brain. And I'm not just talking about money, though financial stability obviously matters. I'm talking about social resources. You know how to navigate the world. When something breaks, you know who to call or how to fix it. If there's a legal issue, you don't panic, you handle it. You have connections. You've established yourself in the hierarchy of competence. There's also the concept of pair bonding. Younger men today are often terrified of it. Intimacy feels like a trap. You, though, you've likely loved deeply before, you've been married, you know how to navigate vulnerability, you understand that intimacy isn't weakness, it's strength. When she sits across from you, she feels a man who isn't auditing her for flaws but who genuinely appreciates her presence. You're past the player phase. You're not constantly looking over her shoulder to see if someone better is walking through the door. Your undivided attention, in a world of infinite distractions, is a luxury product. The woman who chooses an older man is often more mature than her peers. She's the old soul, the woman who at 28 feels 40 inside. She's probably done therapy, she's read the books on attachment theory, she's actively working on herself. When she tries to share this growth with a guy her age, she hits a wall. He doesn't have the vocabulary, he thinks her desire for deep conversation is nagging. With you, she finds an intellectual equal. She finds someone who has lived the books she's been reading. She also wants your mentorship. Now, that word can sound controversial in relationships, but it's real. She respects you, and for a successful, intelligent woman, respect is the bedrock of attraction. It's nearly impossible for her to feel genuine attraction to a man who's floundering in life, but when she looks at your career, your discipline, your routine, she learns. She grows by being in your orbit. You challenge her to be better, not by demanding it, but by modeling it. But there's another motivation, too, a quieter one, exhaustion. She wants to rest. Modern life demands that women be in their masculine energy all day, hustling, competing, leading. When she comes home to a man her age who's passive, she has to stay in that masculine drive. She has to make all the decisions. She has to lead. With you, she can finally let go. She can take off the armor. She knows you have the wheel. She knows that if she falls asleep, the ship isn't going to hit an iceberg. That feeling of safety allows her to be softer, sweeter, more affectionate than she's ever been with men her own age. You're unlocking a version of her that younger men never got to see. Now, we need to address something real. If this dynamic is so functional, why does it feel illicit? Why do you feel the need to keep it private? Why does she sometimes hesitate to post you on social media? Because society hates an anomaly. When you walk out with a woman 20 years your junior, you're violating the social contract of age appropriateness. You'll face judgment, and she'll face it worse than you. Her friends will whisper that she has daddy issues. They'll ask if you're controlling her. They'll worry that she's sacrificing her youth. Her family will be skeptical. They'll look for cracks. They'll assume you're having a midlife crisis. She hears this. She absorbs this pressure, and yet she chooses you anyway. Think about the courage that takes. She's willing to endure the judgment of her peers, the skepticism of her parents, the stares of strangers, because the value you provide outweighs the social cost. That's not casual, that's a calculated decision based on deep admiration. But here's what you need to understand. She may be private about the relationship at first. Don't take that as an insult to your ego. She's protecting the sanctuary you've built together from the cynicism of the outside world. Give her that time. We've talked about the positives, but I'm not here to feed you fantasy. I'm here to tell you the truth. If you enter this arena, there are real incompatibilities you cannot love your way out of. First, the energy gap. You've done the nightclubs, you've done the festivals, you want a quiet Saturday morning. She might still crave high-stimulation social environments. You can't force her to act 50, and if you try to act 28, you'll look ridiculous and exhaust yourself. You have to find the middle ground, the space where your lives overlap while allowing her the freedom to live her age. Second, the mortality math. This is hard to say, but it's real. If this relationship goes the distance, She will be a nurse before she is a widow. You will age faster than her. You have the obligation to discuss this with honesty and integrity. You owe it to her to be the fittest, healthiest version of yourself. Extend your timeline together. Third, the question of children. This is a potential deal breaker. If she wants kids and you're done with that chapter, you need to walk away. Do not waste her fertile years. Do not lie to keep her. That's predatory. If you're willing to be a father again in your 60s, understand what that means. Fourth, cultural references. You grew up with analog. She's a digital native. Different music, different humor, different worldviews. This can be friction or endless fascination. You need to be willing to learn her world just as she learns yours. So here's where we are. You're a man in his 50s, and you've suddenly become a commodity. How do you wield this responsibly? First, don't be the creepy old guy. There's a thin line between a distinguished gentleman and a creep. The difference is neediness. If you're chasing her, begging for validation, trying to buy her affection, you're the creep. If you're standing in your reality, inviting her into your world, and willing to let her go if it doesn't work, you're the prize. Don't pursue teenagers. Don't pursue women who are mentally children. Target women who have lived enough to know what they're choosing, late 20s, early 30s. Second, own your age. Don't dye your hair jet black. Don't wear clothes that belong on a skater. Don't use slang you don't understand. Your power comes from authenticity. Your gray hair is a crown of experience. Your wrinkles are lines of character. Wear them with pride. She wants a man, not a bad photocopy of a boy. Third, be the leader. She chose you because she's tired of leading, so lead, plan the dates, handle the logistics, make decisions, but lead with benevolence. Leadership is stewardship, not tyranny. Make sure she feels heard, safe, and valued. Fourth, be radically honest. You have nothing to lose. Tell her exactly who you are, what you want, what you can offer. Honesty is incredibly refreshing to a woman used to boys who play games. Finally, enjoy this. Don't sabotage it with insecurity. Don't wake up every day waiting for the other shoe to drop. Don't ask her, why do you like me? I'm so old. That kills attraction dead. Accept that you've become the man you were always meant to be. You survived the fire. You're gold. She sees it. It's time you saw it too. The world is changing. The old scripts are burning, and in the ashes of modern dating, the mature, established, self-possessed man is rising as the new ideal. You're not lucky to have her. She made a rational, biological, and emotional choice to be with you. Live up to that choice. This isn't about manipulation, it's about supply and demand. The supply of grown men is low, the demand is high. This is the reality of the shifting dating marketplace. Here's my challenge to you this week. Stop apologizing for your age. Stop looking in the mirror and seeing a relic. Look at the man staring back and see the architect. Carry yourself with that gravitas when you walk out the door tomorrow. Watch how the world responds. Transform your relationships, elevate your communication, and as always, know thyself.